Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Barnett.
And I'm Caroline Jones.
And we're from Fiserv. For those of you who don't know Fiserv, we're the world's leading provider of electronic payment and digital channel solutions. One of our digital channel solutions is our mobile banking and payments platform called Mobiliti. And the feature we're going to demonstrate for you today is integrated into our Mobiliti platform. It's called Snap to Tag. What Snap to Tag does is it allows an end user to snap a photo of a receipt or another image and then tag or associate that image with an individual line item in the transaction history of the applicable account. What we're going to demonstrate for you today are two use cases, the first being a manual tagging of a receipt to a line item, and the second being an automatic tagging of a receipt to a line item. So with that, let's get on with the demo. So Caroline's logging into the Mobiliti mobile banking and payments platform now. You can see our landing screen is the accounts, personalized account screens. Across the bottom, you've got payments, including P2P, e-bills, remote deposit across the bottom, services, etc. What you guys want to see is Snap to Tag those. So we're going to drill into the checking account history. And we go into the checking account history. You see all of your transactions. Now, before we show you each individual use case, we want to show you a completed one so you can see what it looks like. The best way to see that is there's a receipt icon next to each individual line item. So we'll scroll through. And we can see Walmart has one attached to it, so we'll select Walmart. And now we're drilling into the details of that individual line item where you can see the amount, the vendor, the date, a memo, the location where that receipt was tagged, and then most importantly in the top right, the receipt itself. And if we click that, you can see the actual receipt with the line item detail. So that's really the finished product of what we're going to show you. Now we're going to show you how we got there. And we're going to start by manually tagging a receipt. So we're going to go back into our checking account history. And once we go in there, we're going to look for a line item without an icon attached to it. And the first one is CVS Pharmacy. So we're going to select that. And you can see all of the details are blank. So we're going to populate those details by taking a picture of that CVS receipt image. So Caroline will line that up, snap a photo. That looks pretty good, so we're going to use it. It's processing the receipt right now. What it's doing is it's extracting all of the data from the receipt and passing it to the back-end system to compare with the host data. It compared, it noticed the comparison was okay, and now it asks us if we want to make that association. We're going to say yes, and now all of the relevant detail is populated from the receipt for that individual line item, and there's the receipt itself. So if we go back into our transaction history, you can see now that the CVS line item has an image icon attached to it indicating that it's now got a receipt tied to it. So that's how you manually tag a receipt. Now what if we want to automatically tag a receipt? I told you about, it's pulling the data off and it's comparing it to host data. So what it can do is it can look up mismatches and it can determine whether the receipt you're trying to tag to the transaction history line item really does belong with that transaction history line item. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our transaction history, and we have two Starbucks items in there, and we think a common use case will be expense reimbursement. And I may be going to the same Starbucks over and over multiple times, multiple receipts that I need to submit. So the likelihood of mixing those two up is pretty high. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Starbucks receipt or the Starbucks line item, but we're going to take a picture of a Starbucks receipt from the same location, but a different date and a different amount. And so Caroline has taken that picture, and we are processing the receipt again, extracting the data. Let's take another one. Extracting the data through OCR locally on the app, passing it back to the host, making the comparison and detecting a mismatch. So let's try to take that one again and see if we can get it to take. And once that passes it back, what it will do is it will determine that the line item that we're trying to attach it to doesn't match the receipt. And you can see it says it's a mismatch. It says it doesn't match. Would you like to search for other transactions? We say yes. It's making that host call. It's bringing all that data back. It's finding a matching transaction, asking if we want to associate with that. We'll say yes. And now it's been associated with the correct transaction in the transaction history. There's the receipt. And if we back out to our transaction history, you will be able to see the line item for 3660 now has a receipt image icon attached to it, and it has looked it up and categorized it correctly on the back end. And so those are the two use cases we wanted to show you guys. Caroline was going to speak to you a little bit about some of the UX research that we did to determine how usable this feature would be.
So in summary, what we're providing is a feature that is beneficial to both end users and to financial institutions. Now, we know it's beneficial to end users because last year the user experience team carried out a great deal of user research in order to better understand people's financial worlds. We were particularly interested in understanding people's financial paper trails and understanding what we might do in order to add better value into our digital channel solutions in this area. What we found out is that people feel anxious about losing important paper receipts, warranties, legal, medical and insurance records, as well as other documentation, and sometimes will collect and save these for up to 5 years. As you can imagine, this takes up valuable space in the home and can prove difficult to find when the need arises.
So yeah, again, we think this is going to be beneficial to the end user as well as the financial institution that implements it, and we can talk to you guys a little more detail about that at the booth a little later. The real point that we wanted to make is, Snap to Tag is just one of many innovations that we've integrated into our Mobiliti mobile banking and payments platform. Our end goal is really to make the Mobiliti app the centerpiece for all user engagement for the financial institution. So they go into Mobiliti, whether they want to snap images of receipts, images of checks, images of bill pay stubs, pay other people, pay bills, etc. We want that to be the centerpiece for user engagement for all FIs and make sure that their brand is front and center for all of that. And that is the end of our demo. So thank you for your time. Come and visit us at the booth, and we can tell you guys a lot more about Snap to Tag as well as some of these other innovations. And we can talk to you guys about some of the benefits of Snap to Tag. Thank you.
Have a good day.